This is episode 12.
Welcome to Men of Abundance, the podcast for those looking to level up their lives by hanging out with some of the greatest leaders and established professionals in our community, living a life of integrity, honor, and the abundance mentality. Prepare to pay it forward with your host, former Army medic turned lifestyle entrepreneur, Wally Carmichael.
Hey, Men of Abundance, it's good to be back. It seems like it's been a while, and in fact it has. If you've been following me from the beginning, and the beginning is all of 2 or 3 weeks ago, it hasn't been that long, but in the last 2 weeks I had a Q&A session, and I planned on continuing with the Q&A session. The issue is right now I'm just not getting enough Qs. I'm not getting enough questions to hold the Q&A sessions right now. In fact, I'm getting none. So to be completely transparent, I've decided to, one, stop doing the Saturday Q&A session, mostly because I'm not getting the questions, but also because it quite frankly is taking up a lot of time. The Saturday Q&A session is the easiest session to record and edit. It doesn't take near as much time as the other 3 episodes, but it will free up some time for me to do other things. So with that being said, I want to thank all of you who have subscribed and are listening on a regular basis. I'm amazed to see how quickly it's growing. It is really fun to hear the feedback and talk with people whose lives are being changed already in just the short couple of weeks that Men of Abundance has been posting on the various podcast channels, which at this point is iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and I will soon be launching on Google Play as well. So if you haven't had a chance to subscribe, you can do so on any of those channels. Also, I would appreciate it if you took the time, if you would go in and leave a review and a rating on whatever channel it is that you're listening on. It means a lot because it pushes Men of Abundance up in the rankings so that more men can find us and more men can listen in. Alright, so today we are having a conversation with Michael Glover. And Michael is not the easiest person to introduce, but I'm going to give it a go. Even Michael will be the first to tell you he is not normal. About 2011, he was reading, researching, studying, and worked in the health and fitness industry pretty extensively. In fact, you could even say that he was a little bit obsessed over the subject. But as he got further into it, he just found out that there was so much wrong with the industry that he felt, and people just were not getting the results that they wanted, and he finally figured out why. He's created a solution that has helped many people in health and fitness and entrepreneurship and just about anything else in life. Michael has taken a holistic approach to health, and he's used the same type of mindset in helping people reach their goals in entrepreneurship and other areas of their life. Needless to say, this is a very interesting conversation. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Wally. It's very nice to be here.
Yeah, it's good to finally be able to connect. The first time we were supposed to get together, I don't know what happened. I very rarely get sick, and it just hit me really hard. So I had to cancel a couple interviews, and plus you was traveling at the time, so you was kind of jet lagged. It kind of worked out for you as well.
Yeah, because I've just come back from spending about 12 weeks. As you can probably tell by my accent, I'm not from America. I'm from Britain. And yeah, I spent about 12 weeks over in America because that's where my girlfriend's from. And then we had our interview booked for like the day after I was due to come back from a big kind of double flight back, and which was delayed and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, it actually turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
that we've left it till now.
Yeah, it's nice when they can work out like that. So where are you at right now?
Right now, I am back where I call home in North Wales, in the UK.
Nice. Yeah. I've been all over the world, but I have not been there yet, and I certainly look forward to it.
It's cool. It's nice for a little bit. It's a lot because when I was in the US, I was in DC, so it's a lot bigger. There's a lot more going on. Mm-hmm, yeah. Over here is a little bit more quiet and chilled out, but we're by the beach, so it's cool.
That's cool, absolutely. So and I've been following you a little bit and seeing what you've been up to, and I love your lifestyle and being by the beach. I live on the beach as well. Absolutely love it. That's my kind of lifestyle. So I talked a little bit about you, just told Men of Abundance a little bit about who you are, but let's hear a little bit more. Let's get a little bit personal and find out where you come from and what you've been up to.
Yeah, so originally my kind of background, I suppose, is in personal training. and I developed a career as a personal trainer here in Britain, and have now gone more into the whole online thing. The main thing that I was interested in when I was personal training was not so much the exercise stuff, but the nutrition and lifestyle, wellness, that side of stuff. So I've kind of gone more down that route, and now help entrepreneurs, professionals to overcome their health challenges in sense of whether it's mental, physical, emotional, or spiritual, overcome them in order to perform at their best, and maximize their potential and really achieve what they want to achieve and make the impact they want to make without having their own body and mind hold them back. So that's what I'm up to at the moment. And yeah, I think we're going to go into a little bit more detail further in the episode. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell, I suppose.
And so you mentioned that you're a little bit more online. Can you explain that a little bit? How's that working out?
Yeah, so I have my podcast, which is called Enlightened Entrepreneurial Badasses, where we explore all facets of how to perform at your best, whether that is from a mindset point of view, a spiritual point of view, or a physical, nutritional wellness kind of point of view. And I am at the moment kind of dedicated to putting that podcast out there on 3 times a week, interviews with people or my own stuff, blogging, and also coaching, which is obviously a more financially invested thing for people to get involved in. But yeah, so essentially that's me online at the moment, is showing up with my podcast, my blogs, and helping people through coaching in a one-on-one basis.
One-on-one basis meaning through online or in person?
Yeah, through online, so through Skype calls and phone calls and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I found that model works very well. I've done that quite a bit as well in the past, and been doing it for goodness about 5 years, working with people in the fitness arena as well. And I found that I used to be a group trainer, and
Yeah.
I absolutely love doing that. And then people have asked me to do personal training, and I just don't want to. I just don't have the time for it. I do enjoy doing that, but I just don't have the time for it. But doing the one-on-one or even group training online, I've just found to be so much more rewarding, and many people really react to it very well. And you brought up the nutrition part, so I know why I love the nutrition side of it, but why do you focus so much on the nutrition, and then you also focus on it's kind of a holistic background as well?
Yeah, I kind of quit because as a personal trainer, or like when I would kind of classify myself as a personal trainer a few years ago, I suppose I got into it through the whole exercise side, and then quickly realized that the biggest benefits people, or the biggest bang that you could get people for their buck, I suppose, in terms of results and how they feel, is not the exercise side at all. It's the nutrition side and the wellness side, and helping people with managing their stress levels, getting better sleep, and things like that. That's where the real results come from. And so I kind of went down this whole kind of rabbit hole of, wow, this is much more, this whole health and fitness space, it's much more than just telling someone to exercise more and eat less, and therefore kind of, having some kind of weight loss result or something. It's you can genuinely help someone to perform in their life better, whether that is, for someone who is an elite athlete, for example, who obviously needs to train and eat properly and recover properly to perform better in their life, but also to in someone who is just like an entrepreneur or an office worker, or whatever it is that they are having that they do in their life, or the demands of their life are, the actual how we look after ourselves with our nutrition and our sleep and all these different facets of real holistic health, that gives us the biggest results in how we perform best in our lives. So yeah, that's kind of what I suppose I want to really do, is just help people to perform better in their personal life, their relationships, in their professional life, and I see the way of doing that is through helping people with their nutrition and their genuine all-over holistic health. So, yeah, that's a pretty long-winded answer to your question, but yeah.
No, it is, but that's absolutely correct. I've found the same exact thing over the years that I've been in the space, and I always say, and I tell people this, that health and nutrition is about 80%. Or about 20% exercise and about 80% nutrition. And I've proven this time and time again, and it's amazing when you talk to people, they always want to work out, and as soon as they start working out, they want to stop eating or eat less. That's when your body needs more nutrition. And it's not so much about how much you eat, but it's more about what you're consuming. And I love when I take somebody who's just got a terrible meal plan, meaning soda and fast food or something like that, and I say, look, just cut out the 2 liters of soda per week and just do that and replace it with water and watch what happens. And when they come back to me and say, oh my goodness, I just lost 6, 5, 8 pounds, whatever, and I already feel great, it's like, there you go. Have you even lifted a finger? No, I'm doing the same thing I've always been doing. I haven't started working out yet. Yeah, because you're not there yet. Let's get your nutrition right, because until they get that right, it's just not going to make a difference. And then on top of that, health and fitness just relates to everything else in life, with your relationships, with how your job and everything. What's your experience with that with your clients?
Yeah, I mean, I would take that even a step further, and where you mentioned the 80% nutrition and 20% exercise, of the actual, like, I suppose, physical stuff like that we can do, I'd say that's correct. But I think there's this whole other element that's kind of underlying all of it, which is the whole mindset element of it. And if you can get in the correct mindset and start your personal transformation, or whatever it is you want to call it, from the inside out, then it makes it so much more powerful, because you can do your kind of 80% nutrition, 20% exercise, but if you absolutely hate it, and if you're not enjoying it, and you are just doing it just for some kind of end goal at the end of like some kind of 90-day program, then you're going to get to the end of that 90-day program and you're going to go, right, okay, great, I've lost X amount of pounds or whatever it is, I feel a lot better, but I absolutely hated it. Let's go back to what I was doing before, and we'll put it all back on, and or you just basically just reverse the process. And I think there's that underlying element which kind of puts, I suppose, as an overall thing of like 80% mindset, 80% of working on yourself from an internal point of view and looking inwardly first, so that you can create this outward transformation that is based upon stuff that you enjoy, based upon your own core values, and based on moving you towards your dream in life, whatever that is. So I think starting from a place of looking inwardly so that we can get that outward transformation is a real key place to start with, and something that I've found really beneficial in helping clients since I've started implementing that.
Yes, completely agree. And I have a private community of Men of Abundance where we talk quite a bit about mindset, and that really makes a lot of sense on all gamuts, from entrepreneurship to your job to your health and fitness, everything. And so how does that look? How do you have that conversation with your clients with the mindset? Because some people just don't want to hear it. Some people just think everything that they've been taught up to this point is, like you just said, work more and consume less. That's just what everybody's been taught for so many years. And then you bring in this element of mindset. How do they react to that?
Yeah, I suppose it's because I make it very clear beforehand, like with everything that I talk about in my podcast, everything that I talk about in my blogs and my website, and I make it, it's very clear that this is a part of my and not just a part of it, but the very first pillar, the very first like point of call is to actually look at mindset. So in terms of people's reaction to it, it's something that either they expect, or they just haven't read anything or kind of known anything that I've done or like put out there. So back when I used to do this stuff, and it was like more of a personal training stuff, and I would start then talking about mindset and core values and like just actually talking about stuff, as opposed to telling someone to just eat this or not eat that, it kind of created this kind of weird feeling, I suppose, with some people because they just weren't expecting it. So my way of combating that was to actually start putting it out there and, ensuring that the stuff that I talk about in all the things that I put out there has this involved in it as well. So it's not just talking about exercise and nutrition, it's talking about the actual mindset and everything that I put out there. So I suppose it's my role to prepare someone for what it's like to work with me, which is what I've learned from that, I suppose, awkwardness of people like not expecting the whole mindset conversation beforehand.
Yeah, that's brilliant, and that's brilliant that you evolved into that as you progressed through the space. So, excuse my ignorance, but is obesity such a big issue in Britain as it is in the United States?
Yes, it is. It's I think the statistics are kind of pretty similar. I think maybe we're maybe a couple of percentage points behind you in terms of obesity and that kind of thing. But we, as with I think a lot of things, we tend to just follow you guys in what we do. So yeah, it's pretty much the same.
That's a good point, because everywhere I go, it seems like I find a McDonald's. I was in Israel, and I'm in a McDonald's in Israel, for goodness sake. Now, granted, the portions are much smaller. The menu's slightly different in Germany and other countries, but it's there, and it's basically the same thing. And I'm not bashing McDonald's specifically necessarily, but this is basically the culprit that we're pointing our fingers at is the fast food. So is that what you feel is the issue in Britain as it is in the U.S.?
Yeah, I once counted because when I had my my studio, my personal training studio, like 18 months ago now, I once counted the number of places like that, like KFCs and McDonald's and things like that. On my drive home was about half an hour from the studio, and I think I counted that I could have gone to about 11 different places on my way home, like varying from like stuff like KFC and quick things like that. And it was just so difficult to actually go and find somewhere that was healthy. So yeah, it's definitely an issue, but I think it's an issue that we have. I don't know. It's we need to take responsibility to actually say, okay, there are all these places around here, but what is my dream? What do I want to achieve in my life, and how am I going to fuel myself to get there? Mm-hmm. Is it going to be the McDonald's that's maybe a little bit easier, or maybe I'm feeling a little bit run down and tired tonight and I don't want to cook? Is it the McDonald's, or should I just maybe take a step back and go to the supermarket and maybe pick up some more healthier stuff? And I think it's definitely made tougher by the fact that there's so many of them around, and it's so much easier to just go in there. But I think we have to take responsibility at some level and just say, okay, how am I going to fuel the life that I actually want to achieve? And in most cases, it's not going to be a McDonald's or a Big Mac.
Yeah, and it's the habits that we've developed over the years as well. Like you just said, it's easier to just drive through as opposed to going to market and picking up a couple healthy foods, coming home and cooking it up. And some people don't have the skills to do that. Some people don't have they feel they don't have the energy to do that. And part of the reason why they don't have the energy to do that is because they're not doing that, quite frankly, so that's what I've seen. So let's get a little bit more into your background and a little bit more into your story. So I've read some of your bio and whatnot, and so let's get a little bit more personal and let's talk about that, basically that kick in the gut moment that kind of got you to where you're at, if you do have such a thing, either personal or entrepreneurial.
Yeah, I suppose, because I've already mentioned a couple of times that I've come from a personal training background, and for a couple of years it was pretty good. There was kind of ups and downs within there, but I built a client base. I started off in working in someone else's gym, like a big box sort of gym. Started building up a client base there, then decided to leave there and try and do my own thing, and ended up getting to a point where I had my own studio. I had a decent client base. It wasn't like anything massive. I still had room for more, but I had various group programs, one-to-one programs going on there. And I was by myself in this studio, though I had no staff at the time, and I was pretty miserable, to be honest. I remember sort of being stood in front of the mirror one Sunday night when I was and I was just looking at myself in the mirror, and all I saw was the failure, because I had this business that was supposed to be making me happy and was supposed to be, like, you know, going in the right direction and fulfilling me and achieving what I wanted to achieve in life. But I just couldn't bear the thought of getting up again at 4:45 the next morning to go and do it all over again, start another week all over again, because at this point I was completely overworked. I was completely tired. I was completely bored of everything in my life, because I was just constantly, you know, on 7 days a week. Even if I wasn't actually going to the studio, I was thinking about it, or I was having to deal with different client texts and emails, or having to deal with a bill that needed to be paid, or having to deal with some admin stuff or some marketing stuff to get some more clients in. And all this stuff ended up just getting me to this point where I, on this Sunday night, just looked in the mirror and just thought, what are you doing? You know, just you're in a location where you're stuck in this location, and you don't really. I didn't really have any friends in that location. I was only in that location and only started the business in that location because of I lived there with a girlfriend who I'd split up with at this point. So I literally was in this location where I had no friends, no family, just a business, and I was driving there every day to have and keep this business going that wasn't really making me fulfilled, because I wasn't really doing the things that I wanted to do. Like I said, I wasn't doing enough of the real holistic health, real mindset stuff that I wanted. I was just being a personal trainer, and I was just telling people to exercise and eat less and do all this stuff that was helping people and that I enjoyed to a certain extent, but everything was just not aligned with me and what it is that I wanted to say to the world, and my message that I wanted to put out there to the world. So that was my kick in the gut moment when I suppose I just realized that I had to get out, that I built this business. I'd spent 4 years of my life building up a client base and getting to a point where a lot of personal trainers would deem to be successful having their own business, having their own studio. And I dedicated a lot of time and effort and energy and sacrificed a lot to get to that point, only to realize that it wasn't what I wanted. And that was my huge kick in the gut, was just how much energy I'd put into that, to realize that actually I had to leave it behind and go and pursue something else, was a pretty tough pill to swallow, I suppose. And that is my kick in the gut so far. I expect to have more of them in the future and to get over them more in the future. But that's I suppose my biggest one so far.
And I'm absolutely sure that you will, because you're definitely a forward mover, and those of us who are, we're just going to have to deal with that too. That's part of the learning process. And it's cool that you got into that space and you thought that that's what you wanted to do, and you enjoyed it for a short while, I'm sure, especially while you was just getting started. But but the important thing is that you realized that I'm just miserable. I just can't do this anymore. And the thing that's even more important, as far as I'm concerned, is you took action on it. So what was that point where you said enough is enough? I mean, this is it. I'm done with this. And what was that point where you said enough is enough? I got to do something different. And basically, what was your pivot point?
Yeah, I suppose that internally I decided that night. I suppose I kind of said to myself when I was looking in the mirror on that Sunday night, I just said, I have to figure a way out of getting here, of getting out of here. And I went to various kind of things, like in looking at at first I was looking at how can I move the business to a location where I have more friends or more family, or have more going on in a personal sense as well. And obviously that was because the actual business was not something that I wanted to do anymore, was not the right answer. So my way out of that was I sold everything, and I realized that this was something that needed a lot more inward looking than I first thought. So I essentially sold everything that I had. I sold all the equipment that was in there in the gym. I sold all the furnishings. I referred all the clients on to other trainers in the area. I even sold my car and sold a lot of stuff, and then went on this kind of journey of self-discovery, I suppose, for want of a better phrase. I did a lot of traveling. I traveled to a few different parts of Europe. I went to Southeast Asia for about 3 months. Spent a lot of time traveling down there, and decided to pause everything for a while and just to kind of look at what are my core values? What do I really believe about myself, and what do I want to say to the world? And I ended up doing a retreat in Thailand while I was out there, a 10-day retreat, and doing a lot of work on myself, which is something that I hadn't really dedicated much time to at all in the past. And so that brought out a lot of things about what I actually wanted to do, which I kind of already knew. I knew that my passions were around genuine holistic health, and not just like the whole diet and exercise thing, but actually bringing in a real holistic health element that includes like personal development and the inward side of things as well. But I discovered that I didn't really believe at the time that was possible for me to actually achieve any kind of coaching practice or anything like that was around that, because I just had this kind of belief that it was like, oh, people just want diet and exercise. So I did a lot of work on myself. That was the way I got over it, essentially, in a nutshell. And then came out with this message that I wanted to put out into the world, and now that's what I do, is I share my message, I suppose.
Yeah, that's excellent. And the ability to travel, and like I said, just the fact that you made that decision and then you took action on making those changes and having the ability to travel. And this is one thing I want to point out that I get from that is, you traveled, Southeast Asia and went all over the place in Thailand and whatnot, but Men of Abundance, you don't have to travel to another country to get this. Sometimes you just have to take a reprieve. Sometimes you just have to take time off. Go in your own backyard. Go, you don't even necessarily have to leave your state, but you do have to get away from your general environment and basically reflect on what it is that you're doing and where you want to go with your life and what you want for your family, and take that time. So many people just don't give themselves that time to just get rid of everything else. Go off the grid for a little while and reflect on what it is that you're doing and where you want to go, and then you come back. You may even come back realizing that you love what you do. You just needed a break and you needed to energize, and you come back 100% energized and ready to go at it again and take it from a different angle and love what you do. And that's important too. Sometimes people say, we talk so much about creating a business of passion. Sometimes I think you just need to bring your passion with you. And I've seen that many times as well. So
I completely agree. Like, if you look at it as I regularly taking that time to just inwardly reflect and then coming back and taking action, so that you're not, we tend to get like all in this like action, or there's some of us that would just like come off and not take the action and just inwardly reflect all the time. And I think there's a healthy balance of the two, of continually taking the time to actually take a step back, reflect, look inwardly, and do all that kind of stuff. And then once you've finished that, saying, okay, done that, now where we're going to go? I'm going to take action to move forwards now. So it's a constant cycle of you allowing yourself to take action, move forwards, and then also stopping and pausing and deciding where you want to go next, as opposed to just constantly going, yes, take action, 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 or doing the opposite and just not doing anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the most abundant people that I know and the happiest people I know actually put it on the schedule. They put it on their calendar and they take that time off and they take that time with family and they do the things that they want to do. They'll just literally leave their business or leave their job and take that time to re-energize. So, Michael, we're getting ready to pay it forward. You ready for that, man?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Men of Abundance, one thing I want to point out that you may have noticed amongst all of the guests that I've had on the show so far is all of them have some sort of daily habits that they follow, myself included. In fact, for the last 5 years, one of my daily habits that I have not missed is drinking a dense nutrition shake every single morning after my workout. I had never been a fan of any protein shakes or nutrition drinks or anything of that nature. I did get into smoothies at one time, but making smoothies, quite frankly, is very expensive and very messy in most cases. But about 5 years ago, my doctor told me that I had to do something about my cholesterol. Ironically enough, as it happens, divine intervention, call it what you want, I was introduced to this dense nutrition shake that completely turned my cholesterol around. On top of that, I had more energy, my esophageal reflux went away, my chronic joint pain wasn't nearly as bad, and I shed some weight, all within the first 28 days. I can talk all day long about what just 30 days of this dense nutrition shake will do for you. But until you try this stuff out yourself, you're going to continue to be as skeptical as I was. The cool thing is you can try Shakeology with absolutely no risk whatsoever. There's a bottom of the bag 100% 30-day money-back guarantee. That means you can consume the entire 30-day bag, and if you don't see or feel the difference in your body, or you otherwise just are not completely satisfied, you can send the empty bag back and get all of your money back, no questions asked. And there are multiple different flavors you can try. Now, my favorite flavor is the green berry and the strawberry. My wife loves the vanilla, and we both like the cafe latte. There's also chocolate, and there's also a vegan chocolate and a vegan tropical strawberry. And there are even sample packs so you can try the various flavors. So to learn more about the benefits of Shakeology, go to menofabundance.com/resources, or just go to menofabundance.com, click on the resources tab, scroll down to the health and nutrition part, and you're going to see the Shakeology tab. Click on that, take a look, and if you have any questions whatsoever, get a hold of me. I'll be happy to help. All right, let's get back to the show. Awesome. So give Men of Abundance 1 to 3 actionable steps that they can take today.
Yeah, so it's essentially, first of all, is to consider the inward side of things, as we kind of spent a lot of time talking about on this on this podcast. Is just, don't neglect that inward looking thing. So just take a step back, continually assess where you are in your life and where you want to go. Like, tune in with your inward soul or spirit or heart or whatever it is you want to call it, or and just to actually check in with yourself. Essentially, is the first thing that I would say to everyone to do. Secondly, I would say that you get to decide who you want to be and like who you want to show up as, and it doesn't matter whether what's happened in your past, who you've been in your past. You get to decide who you want to be. So create the identity that you want to actually step into, and that is how you can move forwards with this identity. And thirdly, I just say, just value the sacrifice of, or what's sometimes seen as sacrifice of, looking after yourself. So don't sacrifice yourself in the name of business or action or doing something or achieving something. You are the foundation of what it is that you want to achieve, and what gives you the energy and the vitality to go forward and achieve things on the long term. So value your body and your mind is and just appreciate that value by looking after it.
Absolutely. And Men of Abundance, I hope you caught that you get to decide who you want to be. I love that. So daily habits, what daily habits make the biggest impact in your life?
My morning routine consists of getting up, having that. The first thing I do is, I have to go into the bathroom and waking myself up and things like that, is having a big glass of water. So I have between half a litre and a litre of water in the morning, followed by at least 20-minute meditation. I use something called Brain.fm, which is I found a really useful piece of software that does all sorts of things. It plays music while you work to help you focus. It does guided meditations, and that's a really awesome tool that I use to help me meditate in the mornings. And then followed by some kind of exercise, even if it's just a 20-minute blast in the garage or going for a run or something like that, just something to get me moving, because I know that when I haven't done my meditation and I haven't done my movement, I just feel sluggish. I feel depressed at times, and I feel that this thing in the morning, of just getting my body moving, of calming my mind down, and then also having some kind of gratitude. So whether you write that down or you actually, what I like to do is just basically go and say it out loud, and just pick 2 or 3 things that I'm grateful for in my life and just say it out loud, as opposed to writing it down. That works better for me. Whatever works better for you, if you prefer to write things down and keep it more of a journal sort of thing, then so that's I suppose the main things that I do is making sure that I get hydrated in the morning. Big sort of inner bath in the morning. I meditate, I move, and I show some sort of gratefulness and appreciation for whatever in my life that I want to.
Beautiful, and I hope everybody's catching that we see a lot of trends every time I ask this question of guests. And if you ever ask the question of other abundant leaders and people that are just happy and living the way they want to live, they have a morning routine, and some of them are quite similar. So what book would you recommend to our abundant leaders, and why?
I've got a couple of books. Like, first of all, I love fiction, because I feel like it just... There's a lot of, obviously, books out there that are like how-to books, self-help books, things like that. I think, on a personal point of view, they get a little bit samey, and a lot of them say similar things but just with different words. So I like to read fiction a lot of the time. I find it opens up my mind, it opens up my creativity, it makes me feel positive, and I love the book Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse, which is just an amazing little, I suppose, tale about discovering yourself, and I just love that book.
And what was the name of the book?
And from Siddhartha, Siddhartha. It's about Siddhartha Buddha, basically. It's the story of the Buddha, basically. Okay. I absolutely love that book. From a more, I suppose, self-helpy type of book, I find the book Psycho-Cybernetics. I've recently finished that and found that phenomenal. It's by Maxwell Maltz. It was written in 1960, and some of the language is quite obvious that it's written in 1960 when it refers to like housewives and things like that. But the actual stuff that's in the book, Maxwell Maltz was a plastic surgeon, and he discovered how he could essentially give people spiritual and emotional facelifts, and didn't actually need to cut a lot of people open at all to give them the results that they wanted to get from the plastic surgery that they initially came to him for. And it's a brilliant book about changing your self-identity from within, and that's one that I would highly recommend as well. So Psycho-Cybernetics and Siddhartha are the ones that I really recommend. Yeah, the
Psycho-Cybernetics is definitely one I'm going to have to pick up. I've heard about it. In fact, my last guest recommended it as well. So yeah, really? So I'm definitely going to have to get that one. And Men of Abundance, as usual, I will have the names of those books with links to those books. And if there's any audios for those books, because I know you guys like audio, I will have that in the show notes, and you'll be able to just search Michael or Michael Glover, and you'll be able to find that in the show notes. At the end of my 12-month anniversary of Men of Abundance, what revenue that we do generate, I'm going to be donating to various charities. And what I generally do is give my guests an opportunity to name a charity that you really resonate with, or that you currently support, or that you would like to support. And we donate to that charity on your behalf. And we will put that on our site and put your name to it. So what charity would you recommend?
First, I think it's awesome that you do this part as well. But I love the charity Pencils for Promise, and I hope to at some point in my entrepreneurial journey hope to do a lot more work with them and help by going out to different places and helping, like building schools and stuff like that. That's what I'd love to be able to do. But that's, I suppose, the first charity that came to mind when I saw this. Yeah, question.
That's a great one. In fact, I have that one that I've personally put on my site. On the if you go to menofabundance.com/giving, and you'll see that's one of the ones that are listed there. And the reason why I like that one so much on a personal level is because many years ago, when I was in I was in the Army, but many years ago, I traveled all over South and Central America, and one of the things we did was built schools and clinics. I was a medic working with an engineer battalion, and I'm telling you what, you bring schools and clinics to a community, it's the most amazing thing. You just make friends for life, and they're doing great things over there at Pencils to Promise. Awesome. So I have one last question for you before we close this up, Michael. So
cool.
What does living a life of abundance mean to you?
Living a life of abundance basically means living it on your own terms, and like genuinely not considering what other people say you should be doing, but taking that time. I know we've mentioned it a few times in this episode, but taking that time to look inwardly about what it is that you really want. Like, where do you want to be in the world? What kind of working hours do you want to be exposed to? Who do you want to work with? What do you want to say? And just having this inward look at yourself as the foundation for moving forward with your life, and being true to that. So I suppose living a life of abundance is living a life of truth to yourself.
Beautiful. So let's leave Men of Abundance with a parting piece of guidance, something that's exciting you, something you're working on, or something you have coming up, and how can we reach you?
Yes, my parting piece of guidance would essentially be to value yourself and to show up with love, not just for your friends and family like we tend to do, but to show up with love for yourself as well, and to value your own mind and brain and body enough to look after it so that you can show up in your life with love for everyone else as well as yourself. So that's the parting piece of guidance, is to show yourself the self-love that you deserve. And the where you can find me is my website is IamMichaelGlover.com. My podcast is Enlightened Entrepreneurial Badasses. You can find that on iTunes or on the website as well. And on Facebook and Twitter and all that kind of stuff, I have the handle VM Glover. So that's where you can all find me. Just drop me a message if anyone wants to chat. Then yeah, I'm open for conversing with anyone.
Perfect. And I'll have all of that in the show notes. I'll have all those links and whatnot in the show notes, so you don't have to worry about writing that down, because I know if you're like me, I listen to podcasts while I'm driving generally, and I just hate when I can't stand when there's some information that I want to write down, but I just can't. It's kind of annoying. But anyhow, Michael, I really appreciate your time, brother, and it's been wonderful talking with you and getting to know you a little bit, and I look forward to talking with you much more in the future.
Thank you so much, Wally. It's been an absolute pleasure being on. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me on, Wally. It's been awesome. Great. Yeah.
All right, take care, man. Have a good day. All right, Men of Abundance. I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did, and I hope you got something out of it. If you feel you need more information, go ahead and get a hold of Michael. All of the information and contact information is in the show notes at menofabundance.com/012. Now, of course, I want you to go out and live your life of abundance, and don't forget to pay it forward and share this show with as many people as you see fit.
That's all for today, Abundance Leaders. For more about our guests and the powerful information we shared with you today, be sure to sign up for our mailing list at menofabundance.com. We appreciate your time and look forward to hanging out with you on our next episode. So until then, be sure to pay it forward and live your life of abundance.